Hold on, let me make sure this is all proper. Chat room. I don't want to anger Byron, who I don't see here now, but Barney's here. What's up, Barney? Barney's like guy number one in the chat room. 30-minute delay today. I do apologize for that. That's unavoidable. It's this week. I'm gonna do shows every day. I promise you. Maybe not Thursday. I might surprise you with the show on Thursday. I don't know. Maybe here's what I might do. I might go live on Thursday with like a special show, like, I don't know, 2:00 when everybody, no, can't do it before the Cowboys game. Maybe before the Cowboys game. I don't know. I'm thinking about an opportunity for you people to go, hey, this is what I watch. Just grow the beast a little. Beast is a bit more of a rodent. That's okay. We're loyal to each other. We've been here for 2 years. It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. Every day, Monday through Friday, high noon. We do this show. I should do a Thanksgiving show on high noon. Why not? I mean, I don't need chat room participation, but just to grind. Just, I don't know, whatever. I'm going through a lot. Yesterday I did the show after eating a big edible, Radio Misfit show. That's the 9 p.m. show. I do this one Monday through Friday. This is myself. This is about news, headlines, hot topics, current events. Just stuff that you need to know, stuff people are talking about. I try and get y'all prepped up. That's what the purpose of this show is. Then at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, we do a show called The Radio Misfits Show. And it's myself and James Parker. And it's more conversational, stuff like that. James was late last night, and I ate an edible, a great big one, a real powerful one. Oh, God, I slept. Part of the reason why the show is a half hour late today. I got up early. I had to do some running around in the morning, and I realized that with this crazy traffic around it, man, I don't understand. Look, I don't want to go off on a rant, but why do people pay so much to live in this neighborhood? I live in Highland Park, Texas, in North Texas. It's one of the wealthiest zip codes in America. I don't pay to live here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, well, I pay. Trust me, we all pay. But I mean, I'm renting a friend's house, so I get to sort of be a poor guy in the middle of all of this, nonsense. It took me. I look at these people, like the people across the street from me. Their house is probably $10 million. $10 million house right across the street. They got no backyard. They got a dog run. Their house is like $10 million. They got no backyard because their neighbors, the guy with the $10 million house right next to them, is like right up against them. No backyard. And if you think that's, well, I don't need a backyard to live in a beautiful neighborhood with tree-lined streets that's historic and with some impressive neighbors. I don't need a backyard. Okay, let me up it for you. You're going to be really close to Love Field. Oh, fantastic. I take a lot of flights. That'll be convenient. Yeah, and you'll be reminded how convenient it is because there are low-flying passenger jets going to fly over your house constantly. You know who normally lives near airports? Trailer parks. People who it's like, yeah, we don't care. Nobody wants to live here because of the constant noise. This is the noisiest place I've ever lived, and I live in major cities, downtown areas. Just constant air. $10 million for the house. And then the other day, it took me 45 minutes to go 1.5 miles because traffic around here is insane. I really don't know why these rich. I think it's a bit. I think it's a bit that some non-rich people are just playing on rich people. They're like, yeah, this is the coolest place to live. Living under planes flying at 2,000 feet. That's cool. All kids are loving it. I don't know. Anyway, that's why the show was late. Traffic around this stupid neighborhood. And here's the other thing about these people. You should see what this, I'm going to drive around this neighborhood. I'm going to make a video where I drive around this neighborhood after the show. And I just show you the mayhem that is going on in this neighborhood. It's just a normal, imagine your sleepy, beautiful little suburban neighborhood. Quiet little cul-de-sac at 2:00. Oh, maybe there's a FedEx guy. Maybe there's some old man walking the dog, but it's peaceful. It's nice. Oh, not in this neighborhood, not in Highland Park. First of all, these people do nothing but shop online. So the streets are narrow. First, but they're very narrow. They're old neighborhood streets. Every one of them has at least at any given moment 4 to 5 giant brown UPS trucks. So you got to go around and it's up. And then don't get me started on the FedEx trucks, all that stuff. But that's not the problem. The real problem is that every single one of these houses has an entire team of groundskeepers. And they all show up in the morning. They park their pickup trucks everywhere. This neighborhood is lousy with pickup trucks and leaf blowers constantly. And when you try and just drive down the block, you're like, okay, wait, here's a guy in a pickup truck making a U-turn. It's insane. And I haven't even mentioned the pool guys. That's right. They all have pool guys too. So it's constant groundskeepers, constant low-flying aircraft, all for $10 million. Oh, also the other thing that they have around here that is absolutely nuts that people pay and think that this is great. I mean, I love it, but I'm not paying $10 million. All right, so you got the pool guys constantly. That's traffic in the neighborhood. You got constant groundskeepers everywhere. And what else do you got? What else is another big problem in this neighborhood? Oh, they're going to ratchet it up now because now we've got horse and carriages. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Like 10 horse-pulled carriages are just going to be cluttering this neighborhood now for the next month and a half. And yes, it's adorable and we love it. But man, again, now I'm going, instead of going like 15 miles per hour in a 20-mile zone, now I'm going 3 because 10 cars ahead is a little carriage and a horse going clippity, cloppity, clippity, cloppity down the middle of the street. And we're all waiting on the horse. It's a lovely neighborhood. That's where I live, Highland Park. Hi, Byron. Byron's here. Wah, my rich neighborhood is well kept. Wah, hey, it ain't my rich neighborhood, Byron. I am reporting for you and me, the dirtbags of the world, what these people are doing. I'm not complaining. I'm mocking that these people are idiots. They are paying tens of millions of dollars to live in a neighborhood that is awful. Oh, I mean, there's just no benefit. I don't get the benefit. Well, it's close to downtown. You don't have an office downtown anymore. Don't quit telling yourself that. It's not 1960. Okay, nobody commutes to downtown anymore. You don't need to be right next to downtown. Well, it's convenient for the airport. Yeah, tell me about it. Hi, April. April's here. Rob's here. Byron's here. By the way, Rob, thank you so much. Rob hit me to a documentary, the Material Issue documentary on Prime, Amazon Prime. Out of time. It's the story of Material Issue. Ben, it's very near and dear to my heart. And Rob too. Rob was a rock star back in those heady Chicago's 90s days. When that scene felt like it was the epicenter of the rock world. Bands like Smashing Pumpkins and hey, was Filter from Chicago? I never saw Filter live. For some reason, I'm like, why did I think Filter was always a part of that scene? I don't know. Material Issue, Smashing Pumpkins, Liz Phair, Veruca Salt, Urge Overkill. It was a great scene. And I watched the documentary, Rob. Rob sent me on Friday night a text going, hey, there's a Prime documentary on Material Issue. Immediately watched it. Loved it. I loved it because of we talked about this last night, what music does, music of a specific era, why people like that. Today's music sucks. No, it doesn't suck. It's just, you're not looking at it honestly. You have a sentimental attachment because of the memories that you attach to certain songs. That's why your music is great. These kids today, there's a Cardi B song out there somewhere that means a whole lot to somebody. And in 30 years, they're going to be like, that song's the greatest. It's just, whatever. Like I said last night, it's however old you were when music meant the most to you, before life ruined your obsessive appreciation for music. And that usually happens around kids, whatever age that happens. And we start to age. Who else we got? We got Jen here. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to you. That's it. All right, let's run through the show today because I don't know how much time I got. I got a lot of stuff I got to do. I'm still running around, but I'm going to give you a full show. And what is this show? This show is typically about a 2-hour rant of me just telling you everything that's happening in the world. I make a list. I go through all the stories. That's quarter 4. I do the show in 4 quarters. So you got to wait for actual, the news of today, because we do first quarter is erstwhile on this day. So look back at the events that have shaped our understanding of this day throughout history. Not all the events, as I like to say, just the ones that I think I can rant on. because that's what I'm looking to do here. I'm looking to speak nonstop, stream of consciousness style, opining on all the day's events and just random thoughts that pop into my head. Quarter two is birthdays. We look at birthdays. Quarter one, erstwhile on this day, or previously on November the 21st. Then we do second quarter birthdays, third quarter deads. I like the deads. These are people who died on this day. We look at their life resume and we decide based upon our own understanding of heaven and hell and judgment and all that kind of stuff, where they went. They go to heaven or they go to hell. That's fun. That's quarters 1, 2, and 3, erstwhile birthdays and deads. Then we get into quarter 4. That's the home stretch. That's all the stuff that is shaping what today is, what we will remember today for, the headlines, the big events, the breaking news, all of that stuff. Okay, so if you're ready, let's get started. And first and foremost, I do need to say that this show's non-political, non-divisive. We don't get into that bullshit. I got room for everybody here. Let's all just talk and be mean to each other for reasons other than, red or blue, right? Why not? Let's try that for a while. Let's have fun. Let's go back to the way talk radio ought to be. And because of these choices I've made and how this show and the content is presented, I can't get a job on radio anymore. That's right. After 20 years, successful in multiple major markets, they don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear this kind of talk. They want to hear, Obama sucks. They want to hear that. So if you support this kind of radio, drop a little something in the tip jar. And the big tipper of the day becomes the next day's executive producer. We don't have an executive producer today, and that's fine. We haven't been tipped since last Friday. That's fine. That's fine because, the end of month push is coming up. So I appreciate that. Thank you, folks. I will give you the opportunity, though. I'll put up the links for you to be able to support the show. There it is. Boom, boom. If you feel so inclined at any point during this week. I don't know. Maybe you're thankful for the show. That'd be a good one. When it comes time at dinner table, when you say thankful, you give me a thankful. Give me a little bit. Come on, man. I will take any publicity that is out there. All right, let's get started. It is the High Noon Rant for the November the 21st. See, I told you there's no filter here. I'm just talking. It's the High Noon Rant for November the 21st. November the 21st, I'll have you know, is the 325th day of the year. Oh, my God, we are 40 days until the end of the year. 40 days. We're going to be inside a month and 10 days. Ugh. All right, let's move on to erstwhile on this day. These are all the events that have occurred on this day. Not all of them. I lie. Cherry pick them. These are the ones that I think I can rant on, and I got a few here. On this day in 1877, Thomas Edison announces his invention of the phonograph, a machine that can record and play sound. That was on this day in 1877. Ironically, he didn't record it. Why wouldn't you record that announcement? Symmetry. Was nobody talking about symmetry there in the Edison labs? They're in Menlo Park, New Jersey. On this day in 1902, erstwhile, on this day, the Philadelphia Football Athletics defeat the Kanakawawa Athletic Club of Elmira, New York, 39-0, in what is believed to be the first ever professional American football night game. 1902. Now this was in an old league that was called the National Football League. No relation. Yeah, no relation. They made sure of that. This is not. They just stole the NFL of today. Just stole the name from this league that occurred in this part of the country in this time, 1902. But here's the interesting thing. This is the fun fact about this. The Philadelphia Football Athletics were the first established professional football team in the city of Philadelphia. Do you know what the Philadelphia Football Athletics were? The Philadelphia Football Athletics were just the Philadelphia Athletics baseball team. They were just the baseball team who played football when they weren't playing baseball. How crazy is that? Of course, they just moved. They've moved a number of times, but they started out as the Philadelphia Athletics or Philadelphia A's. Then they moved to Kansas City, became the Kansas City A's. Then they moved to Oakland, became the Oakland A's. And now they recently just moved to Las Vegas, and they are now the Las Vegas A's. But they were, back in 1902, the Philadelphia Football A's, and they played the first night game. How crazy is that? On this day in 1905, Albert Einstein's paper that leads to the mass energy equivalence formula, E = mc squared, it's published in the journal. I can't read this. It's like a German journal. Annalen der Physik, der Physik. Okay, so okay. You know what? I can I don't know German, but I could probably Annalen die Physik. So the annals of physics annals. That's what the magazine was called. Whatever, I don't know, something like that. Einstein, E equals MC squared. That's all I know about him. Well, I mean, I know stupid stuff about him. Like I know that he only wore the same outfit because you don't have to think about it. He had 20 suits of the exact same design. Whatever. I know stupid stuff. Marilyn Monroe thought he was hot. He went to girls' schools. He would do free lectures. He charged a lot for lectures. If you wanted Einstein to come to your university and speak, it cost you a lot back in the day. Einstein did girls' schools for free. Just saying. You just connect all the dots and you have questions. Anyway, saw Oppenheimer. Einstein plays a role in the movie Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, you remember Oppenheimer. It's the greatest film of all time. It's going to sweep. It's going to win all the Oscars. And it will. It's going to win all the Oscars. It's going to win all the Oscars because that's what's been in the air and in the wind. Didn't like it. I like Fat Man and Little Boy better. I watched Oppenheimer, and then like a day later, I watched Fat Man and Little Boy, which was the D.B. Sweeney, Paul Newman film from the 1990s about the creation of the atom bomb. I liked it better. I like Fat Man and Little Boy better. Sorry, call me crazy. Maybe I'm a Paul Newman stan, so that was cool. But I also like Tommy Shelby from Peaky Blinders. What's his name? The Irish actor? Can't remember his name. Anyway, he played Oppenheimer. He's probably going to win the Oscar. Good for him. He's awesome. But here's what I discovered while watching Oppenheimer. While I found the story fascinating, I feel like I got more from reading along to the Wikipedia page on Robert Oppenheimer while watching the movie and clicking on characters and reading those. I feel like I got more that way. But here's what I discovered about Oppenheimer, the movie Oppenheimer. More than anything else, more than any sort of besmirchment of the film, which is a fine film, and it's probably going to win everything, and I understand people who like it. Here's what I found about it. Here's what I discovered about myself. I don't like Christopher Nolan. That's it. Christopher Nolan is the problem. It's Christopher Nolan. Because look, my programming has had me for at least the last decade going, whenever the name Christopher Nolan comes up, going, oh, he's fantastic. Oh, he's fantastic. And then always leaning on the Dark Knight Batman movies, because those are fantastic. Christopher Nolan's Batman stuff, fantastic. Everything else sucks. He's like a boring James Cameron. He's like trying to be James Cameron mixed with Kubrick, and he's not good at either. It's like he's not. I'm sorry, Dunkirk. I've not been able to complete an entire Christopher Nolan movie since the Batman movies. I think the only Christopher Nolan movie that I've ever been able to sit through from beginning to end are the Dark Knight films. What's that one with Leonardo DiCaprio where it's all like it's trippy? People are like, oh, you're just not smart enough to get it. No, I didn't want to get it. At some point, I'm like, why am I? This is not all that enjoyable. I forgot. I don't know what that movie's called. It sucks. Everybody tells you it's great. Oh, that movie's great. I'm like, that movie sucks. Dunkirk sucks. Couldn't get through the whole thing. I love war movies. Don't even get me. So I love war movies, dude. I'm currently watching Band of Brothers and The Pacific. Okay, I'm currently going back and forth between both of those. Don't tell me I don't like war movies. Full Metal Jacket is, in my opinion, the greatest war movie of all time. Don't tell me I don't like war movies, so I didn't like Dunkirk. Dunkirk was boring. And then what's the one, the World War I movie? Nope. It's fantastic. It's one continuous shot. No thanks. you mean no thanks? I'm out. Christopher Nolan is doing more fascinating things with his camera. Nope, I'm out. Just give me a story. Give me good dialogue. Give me something that's going to hook me. Don't give me all this stupid shit. So no offense to Oppenheimer, the film, but it's Christopher Nolan. I just can't with him. Look, what about me makes you think that, well, I was going to say, what about you makes me think? What about me makes you think I'd like Christopher Nolan? Well, I do love Stanley Kubrick's my favorite. So maybe that would make you think that I'm open to like adventurous filmmaking. But no, look at the other people I like. Look at my other filmmaking dudes. You know, whether it's the comedy guys like Harold Ramis, Woody Allen, or John Landis. There's dialogue, right? There's Albert Brooks. There's dialogue. That's what it is. Or the filmmakers. You know, the Tarantinos and the Scorseses. Paul Thomas Anderson. It's dialogue. It's story. It's acting. These Christopher Nolan movies are just ugh. Look at how incredibly brilliant I am at bringing ideas to film. That's what I think. There's this whole Christopher Nolan energy, and I'm resisting it. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, so anyway, Albert Einstein, E equals MC squared. I don't know anything about that, but I do know about movies. So we spent 5 minutes talking about movies. On this day in 1920, the Irish War of Independence, it was Bloody Sunday. That's right. Today was Sunday, Bloody Sunday in Dublin. The Irish Republican Army assassinated a group of British intelligence agents. And British forces responded by walking into a football match and killing a bunch of spectators. So that's how the government of England responded. You can kind of understand how the Irish people were upset with them, because Irish people are doing a war, and they captured and tried and then executed British spies. And then the British, they responded by arming up, going to a football match, and shooting everybody in the stands. That was Sunday, Bloody Sunday. People don't know the Irish history. People don't know how we were brutalized by the English for hundreds and hundreds of years. People don't. They don't. Whoa, because we're white. We were like the worst whites. We were the Irish. Do you know? So I learned this the other day. I was watching. So I don't even know what it was, but I was watching it for a while. Like the word slave, the word slave comes from Slavic, because it was originally the Slavic people of Eastern Europe who were enslaved. So the word slave, like civilized Europe, France and all of them, they would take the Slavic peoples and they would turn them into slaves. That's where the word slave comes from. And then the British did that to the Irish, essentially. But they tried to be, because the Irish were a little bit more closer into civilized European culture, not hidden out in the mountains of Transylvania, or wherever. They felt comfortable enslaving those people, but the Irish were a little too close. So they created the indentured servant thing, where you were basically a slave, but you could theoretically earn your freedom if you were just like a good kiss ass for 40 years. Anyway, and the other interesting thing, when the slave train turned to blacks, when they went, because they were in Africa for a long time and nobody thought to enslave them, but it was like Portugal. I think it was Portugal maybe, or Spain or something like that. I don't know. They went over there and they were trying to compete. They were trying to compete on the slave trades with the English, and the English were offering like Irish for indentured servitude and Slavics for slaves. And one of the big complaints about people buying slaves was that, boy, we wish it wasn't so easy for them to escape, because a Slavic person could escape into civilized society and kind of disappear because they're white. So that's when the Spanish people went, hey, we got black people for you. They stick out in the crowd. So that's pretty much how the slave trade switched over. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Why are we talking about the slave trade? Oh, yeah, because we're talking about Sunday, Bloody Sunday, and how the Irish were enslaved. Let's see here. God, imagine that. Just imagine that's because we're looking. I look at here the anniversary of Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I will be watching documentaries about this tonight. I'm sure there's a really good thing on PBS that's going to be airing, because they do it every year. Because we Irish people actually care about this stuff, because it's the reason we're here in America, because of these kinds of things. Anyway, moving on. The Irish people didn't come to America by their free will. The Irish people came to America because the British people took all their food and left them with nothing but potatoes. And then when the potato crops failed, all the Irish people had no food. Why? Because the British took all the fish, because the British owned all the fishing, because the British owned all the land, because the British owned everything. The Irish were a conquered people, not conquered, sorry. They were an oppressed people who were an occupied people by an occupied force, and they starved. The English people went, yeah, we can help them, but you know what? If all those people die, then we can just move English people there. All those people, they don't like the crown. Let's just let them die. 1920, the Sunday, Bloody Sunday massacre. On this day in 1927, here's an interesting one. This place has some bad juju. Did you know that the most famous thing that occurred before the thing that occurred, that whenever you hear this name, you're like, oh, that's what that this place is known for one thing. They had like an even worse thing that occurred like much longer ago before. Columbine. Talking about Columbine. When someone says Columbine, Colorado, you immediately think of that tragic school shooting. But Columbine, before the tragic school shooting, was known for a massacre, the Columbine Mine Massacre, which occurred on this day in 1927. Now, you think of like, a mining problem. What did it cave in? No, there was threats of a mine strike. So a bunch of Colorado State Police donned civilian clothes and went into a mine during a shift and killed everybody. Cops! These were cops! Because they were strike-busting cops, probably in their off-duty time, right? They all got together, they got their guns, they waited for a shift, they went into the mine, and they shot and killed everybody in the mine as a warning to the unions. 1927, Columbine Mine Massacre. On this day in 1959, American disc jockey Alan Freed, who had popularized the term rock and roll, that's right, he was the guy who did it. We call rock and roll because of this dude, is fired from WABC radio over allegations that he participated in the payola scandal. Allegations. It was all payola back then. It was, man, I never, what is payola? Back in the early days of radio, and especially the early days of rock and roll radio, DJs were the only ones who knew what was cool to play. So you hired a DJ because that guy was cool and he knew about cool music and he would bring his cool records and play them. That's how radio was. And then we had automated playlists, and all of a sudden DJs just had to have a good voice. They didn't have to be cool. They were the guys that were hipping you to the new sounds. You got ruined. But so you can play whatever you want. So how do you think big record companies from New York and Los Angeles handled, they wanted to get a song played in Cleveland or Chicago or Dallas or whatever? How do you think they did that? They would take out the DJs, they'd wine and dine them. Cocaine was big in the 70s when money was what they were looking for. But before that, it was cash. It was big cash. You can make 5-10 times, I've heard, your salary as a DJ back in the 1960s, just playing garbage that the record companies were trying to make hits. So it became illegal. Payola became illegal. Whatever, I get it. I mean, it still exists. I mean, payola exists in so many microforms. I mean, whether it's, like someone like me, like I'd go out to a bar with a whole bunch of friends and I'd bring a bunch of people and they'd all drink and they'd all have fun. And then my tab would be counted. Is that payola? I don't know. I mean, I did bring 50 people, because I talked about where I was going on the radio. So I don't know. Is that payola? I know that stuffing bags of cocaine into a Grand Funk Railroad album, I know that that's payola. And I know that just taking money, $100 if you play this song once, yeah, I know that that's payola. Anyway, Alan Freed died penniless and a broken alcoholic. On this day in 1980, a deadly fire breaks out at the MGM Grand Hotel. This is, now it says here, this is the deadliest disaster in Nevada history. I remember this. Kelly, my partner, her parents were there. Kelly's parents were staying at the MGM Grand Hotel when the fire broke out. A deadly fire breaks out at the MGM Grand Hotel in Nevada, now Bally's, Las Vegas. 85 people are killed and more than 650 are injured in the worst disaster in Nevada history. I mean, that's when they tore down the MGM Grand and they built that new spectacular one. Now, this is what I was wondering about. 85 people are killed, more than 650 are injured in the worst disaster in Nevada history. That's more than the country music festival shooting. Because the reason I ask is because the number of people who were shot and wounded and trampled and all of that and that was hundreds and hundreds. So I don't know. I don't want to do the dark research. Moving on. On this day in 1986, National Security member Oliver North and his secretary start to shred documents allegedly implicating them in the Iran-Contra affair. Remember his secretary, Fawn Hall? She was like a DC 10. She was like a Hollywood 7, 8, whatever. But because we weren't used to seeing hot chicks in Washington, D.C., she became like tabloid fodder. Fawn Hall. She was kind of hot. How hot was she, though? Because it was like, I remember thinking, she ain't that hot. Everybody's like talking about she's hot. She ain't that hot. There's hotter chicks, but I have friends who have hotter mom. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, that was this day, 1986. On this day in 2021, the Waukesha, Wisconsin Christmas parade. Remember that dude? Just killed the guy like half a block away and just drove through the parade and ran down a bunch of granny dancers. Oh my God, what an awful thing. What an awful thing. I get that one because Waukesha, Wisconsin is, in my backyard. I've been to Waukesha many times from Chicago. It's right across the border. Waukesha, a lot of people, it's could be considered I know they'd probably claim the Milwaukee, Madison or whatever, but it could be considered, the Chicagoland area. We spent a lot of time in Wisconsin, Waukesha. That one was really personal. And then I remember, wasn't it just a couple of months later, 4th of July, where they had the Highland Park shooting, which is, another Chicago area thing. It was the Highland Park parade where that dude, it was 4th of July. Dude got up. Ugh. Am I crazy or am I just... They don't happen. These things are tragedies. They don't happen as much as they seem to have happened in the past. It seems like for a couple of years there were these kinds of shootings every month, these kinds of mass shootings. We don't really have that anymore. I mean, I think it was almost like the Uvalde thing. The Uvalde thing, I mean, that was so bad. It's like, look, I don't know if that's the sort of thing that affects potential spree killers or whatever, but I don't know. It just feels like, it's still, don't get me wrong, we've got a lot of work to do. We got to address this problem. This is not something that can continue to happen, but it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm being optimistic. How can you be optimistic on that subject, right? But it just seems to me like maybe this year there have been fewer than there seems to have been in the past. Whatever, let's move on. And by that, I mean these mass killings of just innocent people who are just out, being American citizens. All right, that's going to do it for Erstwhile on this day. What do you say we get into some birthdays? Let's talk about people who are celebrating on this day. Want them. They say it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1694. That's right. We're going deep for any of you 18 to 24-year-olds who will be able to relate to this. Voltaire. That's right. French Enlightenment writer, philosopher. Voltaire was born on this day in 1694. The philosophy students in college, those are the only people who know about Voltaire. The only people who be interested in talking about Voltaire is like a 22-year-old SMU philosophy student. I don't know. What do you need to know about Voltaire? Hated the Catholic Church. Hated slavery, was a crazy libertarian. There you go. That's all I know. Enlightenment writer, Voltaire. Born on this day in 1729. That's right. Here's another one. We're going deep again. On this day in 1729, and I only mention it because there's a fun fact attached to him. On this day in 1729, Josiah Bartlett, American physician, politician, the 6th governor of New Hampshire, and signator of the Declaration of Independence, was born on this day in 1729. Why do I mention Josiah Bartlett? Because I like the West Wing, and this is the guy that was always referenced as being, Jeb Bartlett, the Martin Sheen character who played the president on the West Wing. Jebediah Bartlett from New Hampshire. He was a descendant of this dude, Josiah Bartlett. There was a picture of him in his office there in the Oval Office on the West Wing. On this day in 1960, born unto this world, someone who changed the quarterback landscape in Chicago, Mr. Sid Luckman, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, don't tell me Chicago's never had a franchise quarterback. We had Sid Luckman. Yeah, we did. Hey, don't laugh about Sid Luckman. Sid Luckman was legit. Sid Luckman, first ballot Hall of Famer, that whole thing. Sid Luckman is legit. He was the best quarterback of his day. Why was Sid Luckman so remarkable as a quarterback? Because he basically invented the forward pass. That's how far back we got to go. Ha! Being a Chicago Bear fan. That's right. The perfecter of the T formation. He won, what did he win? 5 titles, 5-time All-Pro, league MVP multiple times. Sid Luckman. All of that, and in the middle of it, took time off to fight a war. Yeah, World War II. He retired. I think he retired in like 1950 or something like that with the Bears. We have not had a franchise quarterback since him. And they didn't even call them franchise quarterbacks back then. They didn't even call them franchises. That's how bad, that's how desperate the Chicago Bears quarterback situation has been. We got one now, but apparently there's a timetable in the quarterback clock, and we can take a chance and restart the clock with some kid that we know nothing about rather than the one that we know a lot about, and we're seeing really cool progress. But no, we might have to pay him. So cheap football organizations look at shit that way. Let's reset the quarterback clock. No. Anyway, happy birthday, Sid Luckman. He was Jewish. He's one of the great Jewish athletes in American history, Sid Luckman. T formation. He's the first guy. Like, nobody before him thought to throw the ball downfield. He was the Elway. Not kidding. He was the Elway of his day. He was known for his rocket arm. He could just, and here's the thing. Ain't nobody did that before. So imagine how bad the corner coverage was. On this play, you're just going to run to the end zone and I'm going to chuck it as far as I can. I'm pretty sure that cornerback isn't going to run with you. And that's what happened. And, sure, he took advantage of a time. It was an innovation. Oh, here's the other big innovation. The other big innovation of the time was the New York Giants, Sammy Baugh. The New York Giants, they invented in the very same year that the Bears perfected the T formation, the T formation in the forward pass. The very same year the Bears perfected that, the Giants were running roughshod over the league. Or no, the Washington Redskins. They were running roughshod over the league with their new innovation, the man in motion. Yeah, putting guys in motion. So that's what the Redskins were doing. And the Bears were throwing the ball down. The Redskins were doing man in motion and then just throwing screen passes, I guess. I don't know. They played in the championship game that year. The Chicago Bears in their T formation just chucking it downfield, in the Washington Redskins confusing defenses with their man in motion. They played in the NFL title game that year. Chicago Bears won 73-0. 73-0. The NFL was stupid back then. Seriously, Sid Luckman just went drop back, chuck it, and then corners were like, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to go after that? He ain't going to catch. Oh, my God, he caught it. Because the receivers were just running balls out. Crazy times. Born on this day in 1920, Stan the Man Musial. A little something for my St. Louis friends. Born on this day in 1937, Marlo Thomas. That girl. She was hot. She was Daddy Thomas's daughter. She was kind of sexy. I was like, I don't know, 5-6 years old looking at her going, okay, I think I like girls. On this day in 1939, born unto this world, R. Bud Dwyer, American politician. He was the 30th treasurer of Pennsylvania. R. Bud Dwyer got embroiled in a scandal, called a news conference. The gathered press in front of him reached into his briefcase and then blew his head off on live TV. Yeah, R. Bud Dwyer. Hey, man, nice shot. You know that song? That's why I said, hey, man, nice shot. That's about R. Bud Dwyer. On this day, born unto the world on this day in 1944, the great... Oh, I already referenced him. Today. The great Harold Ramis. Harold Ramis, ladies and gentlemen. Just let's give him his... You don't think Harold Ramis is great? I mean, you don't think Harold Ramis as a filmmaker is great? You don't think Harold Ramis as a comedy force doing everything is great? Let me show you something. Let me just read off some of the things that he's done, okay? How about just some of the things that he wrote? You want to go through some of the things? Here's some of the things that Harold Ramis just had a blank piece of paper and went, I got some ideas, and wrote them down. Now, some of these he collaborated with, but most of them he is known as the primary writer, okay? So here we go. Here's the shit Harold Ramis wrote. He wrote Animal House. Yeah. He wrote Meatballs. Rudy the Rabbit. I love Meatballs. He wrote Caddyshack. He wrote Stripes. He wrote Ghostbusters. He wrote Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School. He wrote Club Paradise. He wrote Armed and Dangerous. He wrote Groundhog Day. He wrote Multiplicity. He wrote Analyze This, and he wrote Analyze That. In his short life, he died of cancer. I mean, he died young of cancer. Not young, but he died. He wasn't done. He died of cancer. That's what he wrote. Now let's see what he directed. Okay, let's see what Harold Ramis directed. Harold Ramis directed and wrote Caddyshack. Harold Ramis directed National Lampoon's Vacation. Yeah, he directed Vacation. He directed Club Paradise, which I love. I love the movie. It was a bomb. But if you've never seen the 80s comedy starring Robin Williams, Club Paradise, wait, is it Robin Williams? I think it's Robin Williams. God, that's one of those movies that I would watch with my kid. Club Paradise is a 1986 American comedy film directed by Harold Ramis and starring Robin Williams, Peter O'Toole, Twiggy and Jimmy Cliff. Set in a fictional Caribbean banana republic, it follows a group of vacationers' attempts to create a luxury resort out of a seedy nightclub. All right, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, Club Paradise. It's funny. All right, so he directed Club Paradise. What else? What else? Caddyshack 2, Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2, he directed. Ivan Reitman didn't do Ghostbusters 2. Ivan Reitman didn't do Ghostbusters 1. Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did. Ivan Reitman did Ghostbusters 1. Ghostbusters 2. Oh, I'm sorry. No, he did not direct Ghostbusters. Here's what he directed. He directed Caddyshack. He directed Vacation. He directed Club Paradise. He directed Groundhog Day. He directed Multiplicity. He directed Analyze This. He directed Analyze That. And here's the great thing. Here's a cool thing about Harold Ramis. So the Second City in Chicago, which is this legendary theater, it's not a theater anymore. It's a comedy complex. It spawned so many brilliant comedians. I mean, they all go through Second City. It's considered, if you want to learn how to be a comedic actor, not stand-up comedy. There's a difference between stand-up comedy and being a comedic actor. You go to the Second City and you train there. I was lucky enough to take writing classes and one improv class, and I said I didn't really like improv, but that's because it was at a time when I was way too uptight, and I don't think that I was really like now. I'd be great at an improv class, but that time has passed, and I blew my opportunity. You live, you learn. The writing classes were really great. We were sent there, and it was paid for by someone else. So we were sent there to sort of learn, and I took advantage of that. That was fun. But the Second City is now it's an entire school of comedy. So maybe, I don't know, maybe your kid wants to be an actor or whatever. It's for rich kids. This is not like no plumber's son is going to, spend thousands and thousands of dollars to go to a comedy college, even if it is the Second City. And even if it is, your producers are people, or your professors are people like Tina Fey and, any number of Murrays. It's just the people there, the connections and all of that. It's a rich kid school. There's a lot. It's pretty expensive if you want to do it. Well, anyway, they've started a new college there, and it's the first of its kind. And it's the Harold Ramis Film School at Second City. And this is for people who want to learn how to make film. Now, there's a lot of film schools. There's NYU. That Columbia Hollywood is a big film school that people go. There are film schools everywhere. You can go to great film schools. Not a single film school focuses solely on comedy filmmaking, comedy writing, comedy directing. And the Harold Ramis School at the Second City does that. And I think that's really cool. That's awesome. It's all brand new. It's only been around for 5 years or so, maybe. I don't know. It's been around. It hasn't really produced a crop of great, but it's early, it just started. And that's a great honor for Harold Ramis, because certainly Harold Ramis knows about comedy filmmaking. Moving on. Born on this day in 1944. He died tragically in 2014. On this day in 1945, born unto this world, Goldie Hawn. Born on this day in 1965, unto this world, Bjork, the Icelandic sugar cubes girl. Born on this day in 1966, into this world, Troy Aikman. Happy birthday, Troy! Born on this day in 1969. Oh, here's a dude. If I had to seriously just sit down and say, who's the greatest in my lifetime, just watching a career, watching a player play, who's the greatest, who's had the greatest career, who really, man, I'm talking about Ken Griffey Jr. I don't even know how to put it into words. Ken Griffey Jr. was such an incredible baseball player for a period of time. It was just like, he was the best. He was the best. There was no question, especially after Barry Bonds was all roided out. It's like, nope, Kid Griffey. God, Ken Griffey Jr. Unbelievable. Born on this day in 1969. Born on this day in 1975. How about Jimmy Simpson? You guys know who Jimmy Simpson is? He's a That Guy actor. Are you a fan of? He's great in everything, and he plays all kinds of different roles. He's very versatile as an actor, but he's also incredibly funny when he does comedy. And he's, to me, best known. My favorite thing that he does is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We're talking about, of course, the great character of Liam McPoyle. Jimmy Simpson, the McPoyle brothers. Oh, God, they're funny. But Liam Liam is sort of the leader of the McPoyle brothers. That's Jimmy Simpson. Born on this day in 1975. Born on this day in 1989. How about football kicker extraordinaire? Happy birthday. And opera singer Justin Tucker. Happy birthday. All right, moving on now. Let's go to the people who have died. The people who have died. These are folks who have passed away on this day in history. We look at their life's resume and we decide where'd they go. First and foremost, let's kick it off. Dead on this day in 1984. This is not a fun one. This is one that I vividly recall because I was in high school and I was a high school sports fan. It was on this day in 1984 that Ben Wilson was shot and killed on the south side of Chicago. Ben Wilson at the time played for Simeon High School. He was the number 1 rated high school basketball player in the nation. He was big in the city. Like if you were like, I was in high school at this time. Right? Benji Wilson over there at Simeon, man. We're going to see Simeon because we used to go watch midnight basketball. Never saw Ben Wilson play. Ben Wilson was tragically killed on this day. This is a terrible story. So Ben Wilson had a girlfriend. More than a girlfriend. She was a baby mama. They had just had a baby. Ben Wilson was, I don't know where he was going. He was the number 1 high school basketball player in the country. He was going wherever he wanted. His career was unlimited. It was going to be amazing. So he had a girlfriend, and they'd had a baby, and things were not going well between them. She was not allowing Ben to see the baby. And so Ben, at lunch one day at Simeon High School, he decided to go outside and talk to his baby mama. She was standing outside the school. He went out and he started talking with her, and they were in a heated, whatever it is. I want to see my baby. You don't deserve to see that. Whatever it is, I don't know. But she started walking down the street and he started following her. At some point, they seemed to have reconciled. Witnesses said that they were hugging and they seemed to have reconciled and that things seemed to be okay. It was at this point where there were 2 other dudes from Cal City High School. Now, these dudes from Cal City High School were there because somebody from Simeon High School had beat up one of their friends from Cal City. So they were at Simeon for payback. They were looking for somebody randomly to beat up. They decided not to go through with it and not beat up anybody. So they went and they had lunch at some diner. As they were exiting the diner, Ben Wilson and his girlfriend were walking into the diner. As they were entering, they hit shoulders the way guys sometimes do. You bump into people. Hey, look where you're going. That kind of thing. The person, Moore was his name, if I remember correctly. Moore said to Ben Wilson, hey, look where you're going, man, and started to walk down the street. Ben Wilson, who was already completely ratcheted up with this situation with his girl, was not feeling it from this guy. And Ben Wilson was a big, giant athlete. And Ben Wilson turned and said, what'd you say to me? And started walking towards the guy. It was at this point where the guy produced a handgun and shot Ben Wilson twice. Ben Wilson died, and it was major, major news. There's a 30 for 30, Benji, if you've never seen it. That's incredible. It's tragic. It really leans into the tragedy of it. It's a little bit Disney. It's a little bit Disney. You know what I mean? I mean, Ben wasn't an angel. I mean, he wasn't a bad kid. He wasn't a criminal or anything like that, but he was known to be arrogant, and he was known to be, there were all of these. Well, he's the number 1 basketball player in the country. Do you know what it's like in 1984? I mean, that was just when it was popping off with shoe deals and illegal recruiting and money being promised. So anyway, that's the story of Ben Wilson. Ben Wilson, we're putting Ben Wilson in heaven because he was a kid. And so much promise lost. You can't really hold anything against him. So Ben Wilson, Benji, if you've never seen Benji on ESPN 30 for 30, it's really good. Ben Wilson. I was thinking about this. I saw a lot of Chicago high school basketball over the years. I was into it. And then in the early days of radio, we had a deal with the midnight basketball promotion. So we would go out and do that. Midnight basketball was when they would open up like the gyms at the college campuses in Chicago. Most notably, this one was at UIC. And they'd open up the gyms and they'd let, the local kids in to play, and people would come out and watch them, and they would pick up games. It was cool. It was fun. And a lot of the teams that were playing were just really good elite high school basketball teams that were just coming together on their spare time So it was really interesting. In Chicago at that time, it was just flush with guys who are now NBA Hall of Famers. So you could go there in the 90s and you could watch a young, Nick Anderson or Kendall Gill, or I'm trying to think of who else. Isaiah Thomas was always showing up, guys like that. But in all of those games, I remember being most impressed by three people. And like I said, I never got to see Benji Wilson. I never got to see Ben Wilson, but I got to see Ronnie Fields, who I thought was the best high school basketball player I've ever seen. I got to see Kevin Garnett, who I remember going, okay, because it was talk about him jumping straight to the pros, and I was like, okay, I could see that. And then the other guy was a guy named Jamie Brandon. And I mean, these were the three greatest high school basketball players I have ever seen at the high school level. Kevin Garnett is obviously the one that, went on. He was like, yeah, he is. Ronnie Fields blew his career. I mean, Ben Wilson, we're talking about Ben Wilson. We're talking about how his life was taken from him in a street violence. Ronnie Fields was a party boy who, was the number one rated high school basketball player in the nation. And he ended up, in a car accident where he broke his neck. So his career never went anywhere. That was tragic. And then Jamie Brandon, who was also supposed to be this great thing, who flamed out. Anyway, Ben Wilson, I remember that was a big story. He's going to heaven. Dead on this day in 1993. How about Bill Bixby? He was the Hulk. He was Mr. Eddie's father. He's going to heaven. Died of cancer. Everybody was so sad when Bill Bixby died. Well, maybe not everybody, but I was, because I was like 10 and he was the Hulk. And how did the Hulk die? That didn't track for me. Actually, when did he die? 93. Okay, so I wasn't 10, I was 24. All right, so 23, whatever. He's going to heaven now. We're putting Bill Bixby in heaven, him and Ben Wilson. Dead on this day in 1995, Peter Grant. Peter Grant is awesome. The stories about Peter Grant. Who was Peter Grant? Peter Grant was Led Zeppelin's manager. Peter Grant, the history of Led Zeppelin is never complete without entire swaths about the behavior of Peter Grant. Peter Grant effed people up regularly with a baseball bat. He would walk into promoters' offices and say, "You shorted us $50." And then he'd just destroy the office with a baseball bat. Peter Grant was also a giant dude. Zeppelin was in good hands. Peter Grant was scary. He would go on to manage a whole bunch of bands and be a very successful band manager. But he also died on this day in 1995. Peter Grant is without a doubt in hell. Peter Grant was not a good dude, but made a lot of money for his band. Zeppelin liked him. Dead on this day in 2017. We're going to heaven with this guy because I met him a couple times and thought he was nice. David Cassidy. That's right. Keith Partridge. Keith Partridge is going to heaven. David Cassidy. I met him a couple of times. My partner Kelly probably met him a whole crap ton of times because my partner Kelly worked with Danny Bonaducci. David Cassidy, Keith Partridge. He was a lovely guy. I don't know what to say. Nice, gentlemanly. Seemed very cool. Wasn't a dick, and a lot of those people are, especially the ones who were famous years before. Like when you catch somebody 20 years past their fame expiration date, those people are usually jerks because they're so used to not being treated famous and they want to be still treated famous, and there's a bitterness and a chip on their shoulder. David Cassidy wasn't like that. David Cassidy was cool. All right, moving on. There you go. That's going to do it. Those are all of the birthdays and the deads, and we got through with all that. Okay, so I'll remind you again, support the show if you can. This show runs on your tips. Thank you so much. Let's move into what this show is about, and let's hit the fourth quarter running, huh? Fourth quarter of this show is all the events of today, the headlines, the hot topics. I'm going to tell you what's trending or what's the headline. I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm going to give you a hot take, and then we're going to move on. Again, we don't do this. This isn't political. I don't get into any of that nonsense. Let me just check something really quick. Before I give you, the first story is Israel. Because we start out every show with Israel because it seems to be the most important story in the world. So whatever. Okay, so is the deal still imminent? Here's the big news about Israel. Israel and Hamas, whatever. They're talking and they're like, give us back our hostages. And Hamas is like, all right. But if we give you back the hostages, you got to stop fighting for a while. And they're like, all right. So that deal was supposed to have been done over the weekend. It's still, here's what Hamas is saying. Israel is saying, give us back the hostages now, like they want them right now. And as they should, demand them now. As a matter of fact, if possible, demand that they would never have been taken in the first place, but that's not realistic. So demand them back now. Understandable. Hamas is going, yeah, about that. We're not really sure where they are because you see, we hit them all over the place and it was crazy. If you remember, the days following what went down, it was crazy and we were just all doing things. They don't know where they are. They're like, they're around. We'll find them. It's going to take us a little time to get them. I mean, this could screw the deal. Like if all of a sudden they're dead, like what if they can't produce them? What if they killed them all? What if they've all been dead for weeks? What if they've all been dead and this has all just been, we got hostages and now Hamas is like, okay, so truth time, come to Jesus, huh? If you will. Jews and Muslims having to come to Jesus. Christianity wins. About the hostages. See, a lot of them were never, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, that's the deal. If you want more coverage of Israel, there are plenty of places that'll give you in depth. I just, I can't with it. It's terrible. Holiday travel. We're in a holiday week, Thanksgiving week. Thankful for you guys. Just want you to know that. Holiday travel is expected to be big. Woo, the roads are going to be packed. People are going to be going everywhere. Holiday travel. The other big story on the holiday travel is, and I got to say this because I hope people understand that this is what being completely fair and middle of the road looks like. For months, for months, every time the government puts out their bullshit, the economy grew by 2.1 million percentages or whatever. It's always this thing. And I tell you, this is bullshit. This is all propaganda for one political party to say, look, we're fixing none of these things really affect us day to day. What affects us day to day? The price of a 2-liter bottle of soda, the price of milk, the price of gasoline. That's what I've been saying. I've been saying that consistently now for months upon months. And I've been saying, ignore the employment, ignore all of that crap. It's just they can tweak those numbers to make it look good. They can do it to make it look bad. Those numbers don't mean anything. Nobody understands them. It's just, hey, look how good we're doing with the economy. That's all it is. And I've been telling you that consistently now for a couple of years. Well, it's time to go the other way. Gas prices are tanking. That's what matters. Gas prices are the lowest that they've been since 2019. When the pandemic drew, that was when I remember November of 2019, just before the pandemic, it went down to $1.99 where I was. I was buying gas for $1.99 a gallon, and it had been like $3.50, and I thought, wow. And then over the course of the next couple of weeks, it slowly climbed back up. But that's where we are right now. Gas prices are complete. Here, I'm gonna pull up Gas Buddy here. Show you what I'm paying. I think I just paid yesterday. I think I paid $2.39 or something. I'm going to do Gas Buddy for us. Okay. I'm going to do Gas Buddy Dallas. So sorry, folks in Illinois. Illinois gas price is going to be 5 cents more. It's always about 5 cents more. All right. So what do we got here? Gas Buddy, top 10 gas stations, best prices in Dallas. Sam's Club in Fort Worth, $2.38. $2.43 at Brookshire's Walmart. Circle K, $2.44 in Kaufman. Hold on. Dallas, Sam's Club, $2.48. Costco in McKinney, $2.49. Like, show me real gas stations. Jeez. I don't want to have to go to a Costco to get gas. Do I need a card or can I just buy gas? How's that work? I don't know. I've never gone to like one of those, like whenever you see like a Kroger gas station outside of Kroger, although that one I could go to because I am a Kroger member. Or you see one like outside of Sam's Club. I'm like, can I go to that gas station or is that just for club members? I don't know. So I don't go to them. I just keep moving. All right. Anyway, this is good. Being fair This is good. Gas prices going down is good. 2-liter bottle. I saw here's a hysterical deal that I saw for Coke Zero, because I like the Coke Zero, and if Coke Zero is going to do like a Thanksgiving week sale-a-thon, I'll get in on some of it. So here was the Coke Zero deal. It was $1.99 a bottle if you buy 5 or more. Like, what? $1.99? That I gotta buy 5 to get that price. I gotta get 5 to get the premium price. It used to just be $2. It used to be a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke was $2. So I gotta buy 5 now to get the premium price that you offered me a year ago. I saw at the 7-Eleven right here. They got Pepsi Zero, because I like the Pepsi Zero too. It doesn't matter, Coke Zero, Pepsi Zero. They got the Pepsi Zero. I always walk by, I look to see what they got. They got the Pepsi Zero. $4.25 for a 2-liter bottle. Now I know that that's 7-Eleven, but geez Louise. Anyway, gas prices are coming down. That's good. Fill up your tanks because they will shoot right back up. And holiday travel is going to be big. Musk is suing Media Matters. Media Matters is a left-wing. I don't know, what do they do? What does Media? I don't even know what Media Matters does. The only time I hear Media Matters is when somebody is complaining about something Media Matters has done. Apparently, Media Matters was driving hey, Elon Musk is an anti-Semite. Elon Musk is like, nope, I'm suing Media Matters. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean he's right. It doesn't mean that he's not an anti-Semite. I personally think that he's got a lot of weird shit. I wouldn't put anything past him. The point is this: he's the richest man in the world. He could sue anybody for anything. It doesn't matter. He may not even believe in the lawsuit. He's just like, he can sue anybody. He's got a billion lawyers constantly looking for something to do. Also in Elon Musk news, a 22-year-old kid is apparently suing Elon Musk. So why is this 22-year-old kid suing Elon Musk? Because Elon Musk forwarded so this kid was ID'd as a, let's see. Recent college grad says his life was turned upside down by Elon Musk. Now he's fighting back. A recent college grad says his life was turned. I just read that. Not going to give me the story. All right, I don't care. I don't really care about the story. Here's the story. Elon Musk forwarded a video where this dude was identified as being in the video, but it wasn't this dude. This dude is just some rando. And all of a sudden his name became associated with this thing. And he says that it was because of the amplification of Elon Musk's retweet that all this happened. So there you go. It'll be settled out of court, and this kid will probably make a couple of $1 million because that's couch change for Elon Musk. He's got a case. I mean, if Elon Musk did that, if it's been proven that he's not the guy in Elon Musk app, yeah, they're gonna settle. They will settle. The lawyers will just, what do you want to go away? How much you need? How about this one? How about the Marines? A bunch of Marines brawled on 6th Street yesterday, or Sunday, I should say. Sunday or Saturday? I was over the weekend. I was going to do this last night on the Radio Misfits show, but James, I don't know. There was a rhythm thing. I wanted to get into it. It was going to take time, so we didn't do it. So we'll do it today anyway. There was a huge brawl. I don't know if you saw this. Let's watch it. 6th Street. We're going to break it down because I have watched this and I have slowed it down, and I know exactly who's to blame. I know who started it, and I know everybody that needs to be arrested because I've watched this video like 1 million times now. It's at a place called Club Voodoo on 6th Street. It was a bunch of Marines in uniform, in their dress uniform. They looked really good. Although not intimidating, got to be honest. I'm looking at these Marines and I'm like, yeah, they just look like dudes in Marine uniforms. They're not scary. They're not intimidating. So the Marines are coming out of a bar, and a girl who seems to be entering the bar for no reason. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know the context. I don't know what led up to this, but it appears that these are two totally different groups that have nothing to do with each other. It looks like one group, the Marines, are coming out of the club, and there's another group waiting to be let in by the doorman. And as the Marines and the girl come out of the club, one of the girls has her phone up, and she is making a video of the Marines walking out. she appears to be with one of the Marines as he is helping her steady her hand in the camera. That's what we see in the beginning of the video. We see a girl waiting in line with another group of people, see this, take her hand and swat it at the phone. Okay, that's what we see. Now this causes the two girls to get into it. The Marine, who was the subject of the video, now walks into the two girls and attempts to break them up. Stop it, girls. This causes some of the guys who were with the girls to jump the Marine, which, oh my God, were you guys not looking around? Did you not see the 50 other Marines right there? And then all of a sudden, you just see an onslaught of Marines and dudes, and they're swinging. And my point is this: how many of these fights start because women? How many? I can tell you that I have probably been involved in maybe 10 big brawls where everybody's just throwing punches, whether it's parking lots, whether it's whatever. Probably 10 in my life. I would say 50% of them had started because of a girl, because of somebody, talking to somebody and all that. You're dating her now, whatever. These things they are never dudes. They're never just dudes having beef. Two dudes having beef will most likely walk away unless there is that girl involved somehow, because now it becomes a manly thing where you've got to show her that you are more manly than him. Oh, God. Video shows Marines in massive brawl outside Austin, Texas bar after a woman's cell phone was taken. Marines and civilians were in a fight in front of the Voodoo Room nightclub. Several blows are exchanged and people are knocked to the ground. One bystander is cheering on the military men as police break up the quarrel. That's another cool part of this video. You see just like the onslaught of cowboy hat wearing Austin street police. You just start. All right, so let's watch the video. Video's fun. We'll get into the video. All right, here we go. Marines, here we go. Here's the video. Yeah, I want to give you, there's a number of videos out there. I got the raw one. So let's do this one. Let's just watch it. Okay. Here we go. All right, let me just show you what we're looking at here first. Do I need to get rid of anything? Yeah, I want to get rid of that. All right, hold on. Okay. All right. So, well, actually, here we go. Okay. So let's look at it this way. Here's, no, get rid of that. Here we go. All right. So, here are a number of Marines right here. Right. They seem to have already exited or something. You'll see this girl. I think this, let's just, yeah, that's it. All right. That's how it started. All right. So you got a girl right here. Here's the Marine being photographed. See the arm right here? She's holding a camera and she's sort of like, tracking him as he walks out of the club. You're right here. Now see this arm that just comes out of nowhere? This girl seems to be waiting to get in. They seem to be exiting. This arm, for some reason, unprovoked, these people are totally ignoring her. This arm comes out of nowhere and grabs at the phone. So that's how it starts. Here we go. Let's start with that. What is going on here? What is she saying? Okay, so she has taken the phone, and has she thrown the phone? There, now she's videotaping it. Now she throws it. Yes. Okay. So here's the phone. She grabs it and she throws it. Here's the phone here. Okay. All right. So now we got this guy. This guy in the white hoodie. He's swinging on this guy who looks a little loopy. He's got a little noodle leg thing happening here. So I want to go back and I want to see where that guy was. Where was he in the beginning? So it's hoodie guy. That's him right here. All right, here he is right here. Yeah, this guy right here smoking. He's talking with this guy. So let's see. Now the girls are fighting. Oh, and all of a sudden, this guy takes a swing. I don't know what that's about. All right, so now nothing's crazy. A lot of Marines. These townies are. Oh, she just got cracked. Hold on. All right, so the bitch who started this whole thing gets cracked. Here she goes. All right, this is going to be nice. This bitch right here, she's going to get cracked for starting it. Oh! Hey. Her own man cracks her. It's the dude in the white hoodie who cracks her. He like backhands her. Ah, see that? He just backhanded her. His own girl. Who he's defending. What? Think about that. He's defending her from people who want to hurt her, and he's going to hurt her because... Let's just let it roll from here. This guy, oh no, I want to mention this guy. This drunk asshole. Okay. Look at this guy. So there's just like a totally shit-faced Marine who for no reason decides to vandalize one of those street scooters. He just throws it on the ground. Look at this ass. Here he is. This guy right here. Right here. See him? Look at him. He's just, for no reason, he's just going to act out because he's an emotional idiot and he's just going to break something. Thanks. Look at that drunk ass. All right, let's watch. Oh, I don't know. None of them know. I don't know. It's mayhem. It's a ball. Nobody's really using any technique. It's just hitting over in front of you. Here come the cops. A lot of Marines, man. That's a lot of dress uniforms. All of this. All right, all of this because this bitch right here, for some reason, didn't like that some stranger was filming. Now they're going, I don't know, man. I wonder if there was some beef before this. All right, Austin, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a weekend. Just be sure to get your ass home because ain't nobody want to live there anymore. They got too many people. Yeah, it is. Barney's like, that's a lot of cops just standing by. It really is. They came out of nowhere, man. They were there, tons of them. All right, so that's the Marine story. Rahm Emanuel, the former White House chief of staff, former longtime mayor of Chicago, one of three of the most accomplished brothers in the history of the world. My God, the Emanuel brothers. So you got Rahm. He's one brother. Imagine being the mom. You got Rahm. He was a U.S. congressman, and then he was chief of staff at the White House, and then mayor of his hometown for like a whole bunch of years. So mom's probably proud of that. Then you got the other guy, Ari Emanuel, who's the most powerful man in Hollywood and has been for about 20, 25 years. Ari Emanuel is 100% who Ari Gold from Entourage was based on. So mom can be proud of that. She's like, oh yeah, my other son rules Hollywood. My other son controls Washington from the desk of the White House chief of staff. And then you got the third one, who's a loser son. There's, you got Rahm, the mayor, the politician, and then you got the other son, Ari, who is the movie maker, and then you got the third one, who's a loser. And by loser, I mean he is the world's most highly regarded heart surgeon. Yeah, that's the loser. That mom, she's probably pretty proud. Rahm Emanuel's house in where is it? Gordon Beach? Where is it? New Buffalo? Somewhere out there? Somewhere in Michigan. He's got this big fancy summer home, I'm sure. I don't know. All those houses there on that side of the lake. All the summer homes are like super nice in New Buffalo. Rahm Emanuel's summer house was vandalized with someone wrote Nazi on his big white fence, which they're like, do you see? I'm like, okay. Right. That shows that somebody's out there being an a-hole, but He just wrote Nazi. I mean, that's just Nazi. I mean, it's terrible. Oh, it's an ugly word. I mean, it's ugly, but it's not like I'm going to kill you, Jew. You know, it's not. It's. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to tamp it down. I'm just trying to say the hysteria over this particular incident. It's just Nazi. I mean, it doesn't even. It could just be a guy who likes Nazis and painted on a random. I don't know. It's not good. I know it's not good, but what I'm saying is, it's not like. I don't know. I don't. I think that somebody was like, "That's Rahm Emanuel's house. Let's write Nazi on it and see if we can get in the papers." I don't know how big of a incident this is because he is a very high profile guy. So targeted, someone looking for a little attention. Nothing terrible. Like Nazi is a terrible word, but it's one word. That's all. It was just Nazi. Not like Nazis are coming, not like that. Just the word. It's just the word. So we have to make a lot of assumptions. And my assumption, without going all pearl clutchy, is okay. These are some Western Michigan townie trash who already don't like the super wealthy Chicago people who live on the beach. And there's probably a whole bunch of like inbred West Michigan trash kind of ideologies there. So yeah, I would have no problem. Them probably out drunk, probably drinking on a public beach. Drunk, they drive by. That's Rahm Emanuel's house, and someone in the car is like, "I hate that Jew," like idiots do. It's ugly. It's an ugly worldview, but I don't know. It's necessarily dangerous. And then he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna jump," and he jumps on and writes Nazi. It could just be that. But it's being presented like America's most high-profile Jewish people are being targeted, and I hope that ain't true. I've seen nothing that suggests that. I've seen some really ugly anti-Semitism in the past few weeks. There was one person who responded in the comment section to this story that I was reading about the Rahm Emanuel thing, which is why I'm saying this. They commented. They said, "They're coming for all of us." God, I mean, that's a horrible, do you get the Jew thing? Do you get it? I mean, I'm sure Barney and Byron do. No, I'm kidding. It's just a joke. For all their curiosities, I don't think either one of them are anti-Semites or racists or anything like that. I never got the whole Jew thing. I don't know. Because I don't know. All the Jews that I knew I liked. I was like, what is this? And when I grew up, see, again, I say this is important. My generation, maybe our Gen X, are we the last generation to truly know how despicable the Nazis were? And I say this because our grandparents, Gen X, our grandparents fought the Nazis. And, for any of us that had relationships with our grandparents, World War II was a pretty big talking point in their lives. So, was it like Gen X that was like, "Oh yeah, Nazis are verboten," and then the millennials came around and they're like, "Let's be ironic. Let's be ironic and start normalizing the conversations around Nazis," because it wasn't even a normalized thing to speak of in civilized company. Everybody was fine with it. They were despicable, right? And then all of a sudden, like in the last 20 years, it's starting to be like, I don't know. Harry, remember when Harry went to that party dressed as a Nazi? Because it was funny. Fucking millennials, you normalize the idea of Nazism. Because you weren't raised by grandparents who were slugging it out with Jerry. I don't know. I just think there might be something to it. You know what? I'm going to drop a TED Talk, and you guys can catch me on YouTube. Susan Sarandon. Oh, this bitch. This woman. I just have wanted Susan Sarandon to just go away for 30 years, right? What has Susan Sarandon ever done that has made me? First of all, she was just disappointing in Bull Durham. I know Susan Sarandon is so good at Bull Durham. No, she's not. When I saw Bull Durham, my first thought was they couldn't have got a hotter actress. Like that character, they couldn't have gotten some Goldie Hawn. Can we get Goldie Hawn in that role? That would have been good. I never got Susan Sarandon with her big bug eyes. Okay. And here's the other thing. I never really got into Rocky Horror Picture Show. That was kind of a bridge too far with my theater friends. Let's go to Rocky Horror. I'm like, nah, that looks lame. No, it's great. We sing and dance. And I'm like, see, lame. That's what I mean. That seems lame to me. I'm an uptight 18-year-old. That doesn't sound like what I want to do tonight at 1 a.m. Anyway, she was kind of cute in that, right? Like, but again, she was all right, kind of. I don't know. Susan Sarandon sucks, is what I'm trying to say. I've never liked her in anything. Thelma and Louise, I didn't even like that movie. That was like a chick movie. I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool, interesting, because what? Brad Pitt was in it. What did she do? Well, she's basically going to all these big Palestinian rallies, and she's talking about how awful the white man is, and Jews. Yeah, Susan Sarandon. Jesus, never wants to work in Hollywood again, apparently. Susan Sarandon is slammed for claiming Jews are getting a taste of what it feels like to be a Muslim in the wake of the Hamas massacre, as Oscar winner backs anti-Semite Roger Waters and chants "From the river to the sea" at a rally. From the river to the sea is, well, it depends. It's something that Palestinians believe. It concerns border arrangements that were made decades ago and where their land should be from the river to the sea. That's what they want. That's the home of Palestine. Now, because of programming, we have come to hear that chant as being blatantly anti-Semitic, when it is not. It is not anti-Semitic. It is not anti-Semitic for the people of Palestine to make a chant out of their demands. Their chant isn't kill all the Israelis, which, might be something that they whisper. I don't know. But this idea that from the river to the sea is anyone who says, or anyone who supports the Palestinians now is anti-Semitic, just supporting these people's right to a homeland makes you anti-Semitic. That's not fair. It might make you anti-Israeli government policy, but that doesn't mean you hate Jews. Come on. So I may be okay with Susan Sarandon saying "from the river to the sea" and not necessarily going, "Oh, she hates Jews." Doesn't change my opinion that she was poorly cast in Bull Durham. I still think they could have gotten a hotter actress. The other thing that she said, that the Jews are now getting a taste of what it's like to be Muslim. Well, that's just bad taste. And that's just something that a stupid person doesn't recognize is in highly bad taste. So she's a fucking idiot, just for thinking that she could say that. Like, this is... You guys, you know how I feel about people who act for a living. They are all awful, awful people. She's just playing a role here. She doesn't have any actual feelings about this stuff. She just decides, what script do I want to act? And she likes this role. She likes this character that she's created as a political rebel rouser who takes these contrarian points to things like, anyway, and this is not because she's supporting Palestinians. There's a lot of people who are. That's fine. This is a complicated issue. For me, it comes back to Bull Durham. She was poorly cast, is my whole point. Let's see. What else do we have here? Any other news? What else do we got? No. There's a story about a Frontier Airlines plane where people went nuts. I don't care about that. Some woman had a schizophrenic breakdown on a Frontier jet, and unfortunately the jet was filled with Christians, like going on some Christian weird trip somewhere. And so, of course, the bulk of the plane didn't behave rationally. They just immediately assumed that she was possessed by the devil. So everyone on the plane started singing hymns and blah, 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 speaking in tongues. And it's just madness. And flying on airplanes is now like taking a Greyhound bus in 1980. There is absolutely no sophistication to air travel anymore when you can have scenes like that. Called that segment Plane Mayhem, but I don't want to do it because I'm running out of time. What else? Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, Adrian Beltre. Can we talk about him? Is Adrian Beltre a first ballot Hall of Famer? Is this an amazing year for the Rangers? Is anything possible? I sure hope so. Major League Baseball announced their Hall of Fame guys. And longtime Ranger third baseman. Not the greatest third baseman I've ever seen. Best third baseman of his era. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Who was it? Somebody said that he played third base the way Ozzie Smith played shortstop, which is a really interesting way to describe a guy who only has to go in one direction, but it speaks to his athleticism and his ability as a defensive third baseman. And not only that, as a hitter. Holy cow. You get that. You get possibly the best defensive third baseman of the past 20 years of baseball. You get that, and you get a guy who didn't he hit 48 home runs one year? First ballot. I absolutely think he's first ballot. First ballot is very rare for me. You know how important I think baseball is. I think baseball is really important. And I think that the guys who go in on the first ballot of the Baseball Hall of Fame, that needs to be maintained as the absolute apex of a player in his era. We need to protect that. Adrian Beltre, he definitely first ballot for me. I hope he gets in. Wait, who else is going in though? Let's see. Yeah, 3,000 hits. Doesn't he have more than that? Doesn't he have 4,000? I thought 4,000 hits. I know he's got 400 home runs. He's the first third baseman to have that amount of hits, that amount of home runs. Anyway, Baseball Hall of Fame announces 26-man ballot for class of 2024. The National Baseball Hall of Fame announced Monday the list of players who will be eligible to be elected by baseball writers in 2024. The 26-man ballot of players that the Baseball Writers Association of America will choose from features 12 newcomers and 14 returnees. Those who are on the ballot for the first time. All right, so these are the potential first ballot guys. Jose Bautista, no. Adrian Beltre, yes. Bartolo Colon, no. Adrian Gonzalez, no. Matt Holliday, no. Victor Martinez, no. Joe Mauer, no. Brandon Phillips, no. Jose Reyes, no. James Shields, no. Chase Utley, couple years. No. Adrian Beltre is the only guy I put in first ballot because we got to protect the first ballot. Got to protect the first ballot. Wasn't he a World Series MVP with Boston? No, maybe he was just bought. Maybe he was just the team MVP. I don't know. I thought I read that about him. I don't know. Whatever it is. Anyway, Adrian Beltre, there you go. What a year. What a great year. What a great year for the Rangers, man. Now, I know he played around, but didn't he play longer for the Rangers? It seems like he was with us for 10 years. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. That's baseball stuff. All right, guys, that's going to be it. That's basically all I got for today. Okay. I'm sorry. I know it's been a crazy day. I've got a lot of running around to do. I got stuff. We're going to do shows. I'm going to try and do shows every day this week. And I am really toying with the idea of doing a show on Thanksgiving. So we'll figure that out. Tonight, 9:00, join me and Parker. Parker and I are going to be getting together for our Radio Misfits thing. We do that every Monday through Thursday at 9:00. Not entirely sure what the schedule is on that because, James got stuff to do. James got like 15 kids. And it is, they're all off. So, but I expect to do a show tonight at 9:00. I think we cleared it with him last night, right? Did we say, James, we doing a show? I believe he said yes. Or words that led me to think it was a possibility. Thank you to everybody for hanging out. Like I said, I got to run. Tip the show if you can. Support us. We appreciate you. Have yourself a wonderful night. We'll see you back here in a couple of hours. Bye, everybody. Got to run. I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am
am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest.